Chapter 1. The Cracks in My Home. I used to believe my house was safe. Strong walls, steady roof, warm lights. What more could a man ask for? But safety doesn't always crumble with fire or storms. Sometimes it rots slowly, and you don't notice until the beams are hollow and the floor groans under your feet. That's how my marriage felt. Hollow. Selena was beautiful, too beautiful to be mine if I'm being honest. The kind of woman who could fill a room with laughter. Except lately, her laughter was no longer for me. "Why are you staring?" she asked one evening, her voice sharp as glass. She was scrolling on her phone, eyes glued to the screen. I forced a smile. "Just wondering what's so funny." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, don't be paranoid. Not everything is about you." But I knew. Deep inside, I knew. The glow on her face didn't come from me anymore. It came from the buzzing phone she guarded like a second heartbeat. I tried to tell myself it was work, friends, maybe even harmless gossip. But every chuckle, every smirk chipped away at me. One night, I couldn't hold it in. "Selena," I said, leaning against the kitchen counter, "are you hiding something from me?" She looked up with the kind of expression that made me feel stupid for even asking. Her lips curved into a mocking smile. "You're jealous, aren't you?" I stayed quiet. She laughed, soft at first, then louder, until it filled the room like smoke choking me. "Oh my God, you're actually jealous. That's cute." Pathetic, but cute. Her words burned worse than fire. That's when I first heard his name. Damian. She slipped once, murmuring it under her breath while texting. Another time, I caught her smiling at his name, lighting up her phone. "Who's Damian?" I asked, pretending I didn't already know. She tilted her head, smirked, and said, "A friend. Don't look so scared." But my gut twisted. Friends don't send messages at midnight. Friends don't make your wife laugh while you sit in silence across the table. The final crack came a week later. I came home late. The house quiet, except for her voice drifting from the living room. I stopped in the hallway, the words chilling me. "Don't worry," a man's voice said, deep and sharp. "I'll tear down this house myself if I have to." Silence. Then Selena's laugh, loud, careless, cruel. I froze, my hand gripping the doorknob so hard my knuckles turned white. Tear down this house? I wanted to storm in, to grab him by the collar and throw him out, but my feet refused to move. My chest pounded, my throat burned, and all I could do was stand there, listening to her laughter. She laughed at his jealousy. She laughed at me. When the front door finally shut behind him, I stepped into the room. Selena was still smiling, scrolling through her phone. She didn't even look up. "Who is that?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Relax," she said, waving me off. "You're imagining things." "No," I said louder now. "I heard him." Her eyes finally lifted, filled with disdain. "So what if you did? Are you going to cry about it?" The words slammed into me harder than any fist. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there, broken in my own home. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared at the ceiling. Every laugh, every glance, every whisper replayed in my head. And then his words echoed louder than all of them. "I'll tear down this house myself." Maybe he would. Maybe he already had. But as I closed my eyes, one thought burned hotter than my shame. If Damian wanted to destroy my home and Selena found joy in his promise, then I would not be silent much longer, because sometimes silence is the sharpest weapon a man can hold. Chapter 2. His threat. Her laughter. I couldn't get Damian's voice out of my head. "I'll tear down this house myself." It echoed in the walls, followed me into my sleep, poisoned every moment of silence. The next morning, I sat at the table, coffee in hand, staring at Selena as she typed away on her phone. She didn't notice me at first. Her lips curled into a smirk. Her eyes lit up, alive in a way they never were when she looked at me anymore. "Selena," I said finally, breaking the silence. She glanced up, annoyed. "What?" "Damian," I said, my throat dry. "Why was he here last night?" Her fingers froze on the screen. Then, as if rehearsed, she let out a laugh, sharp, ringing, cruel. "Oh my God, you actually heard that?" I clenched my jaw. "He threatened me. He threatened our home." She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms, her smile wide and taunting. "You're overreacting. Damian's jealous, that's all. He says stupid things when he's angry. You're really going to take it seriously?" "Jealous of who?" I asked. My hands trembled around the cup. "Of me. Of us. Of you. Who cares?" She waved her hand dismissively, her laughter filling the kitchen. "You look so scared right now. Like a little boy worried the big bad wolf will blow his house down." Her words stung more than Damian's threat. At least Damian was honest about wanting to ruin me. Selena, my wife, mocked me for being afraid of it. "Do you think this is funny?" I asked. "Yes," she said without hesitation, grinning. "It's hilarious. Look at you. You've always been so serious, so dull. Damian makes me laugh. You make me bored." I swallowed hard. "Then why are you still here?" Her smile faded for a second, her eyes narrowing, but just as quickly she recovered. "Because this is my house too. Because I can. Because you won't do anything about it." She was right. I sat there, silent, unable to move, unable to scream. That evening, I saw him again. I was leaving work when I spotted Damian leaning against a black car across the street. He lit a cigarette, eyes locked on me. The smirk on his face was enough to make my blood boil. I walked faster, jaw tight, fists clenched, but as I passed him, he chuckled. "You look tired," he said. "Rough night?" I didn't respond. "Careful," he added, his tone mocking. "Your house looks fragile. One strong wind, and—" he blew smoke into the air. Gone. I wanted to punch him right there, but I kept walking. My silence wasn't weakness. Not this time. My silence was fire, waiting to burn. When I came home, Selena was waiting. "Why do you look like that?" she asked, laughing again. I didn't answer. I walked past her, straight into the bedroom, shutting the door. Behind me, I heard her voice. "Damian was right. You really are pathetic." I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling. I thought about our wedding day, the vows we exchanged, the way she once looked at me like I was her world. Now she looked at me like I was a joke, and worse, she laughed at me like one. That night, as she scrolled on her phone beside me, giggling softly at Damian's messages, I whispered to myself, "One day, Selena, one day I'll wipe that smile off your face." Chapter 3. The Breaking Point. I always thought betrayal would come like a storm. Loud, violent, impossible to miss. But when it finally hit me, it came like a knife sliding between my ribs, quiet and merciless. It was a Thursday night. I'd worked late, dragging myself home with nothing but exhaustion in my bones. The lights in the house glowed warmly, but the moment I opened the door, I knew something was wrong. Shoes. A man's shoes by the entryway. My heart stopped. I stepped inside, my breath shallow, and there he was, Damian, sitting on my couch like he belonged there. Selena was next to him, her head tilted back in laughter. They didn't even notice me at first. When Damian finally saw me, he smirked. "Well, look who's home." Selena turned, her eyes meeting mine. She didn't flinch. She didn't even look guilty. Instead, she laughed harder. "You should have seen your face just now. Priceless." I froze in the doorway, my fists clenched at my sides. "What is he doing here?" "He's keeping me company," she said, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. Damian leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Relax, man. I'm just visiting. No need to get so tense." I glared at him, then at her. "In my house?" Selena's smile widened. "Our house. Don't forget that." I felt the ground shift beneath me. Everything I thought I knew, everything I thought I owned, it wasn't mine anymore. Not even my home. Damian stood up slowly, towering over me. He leaned close enough for me to smell the smoke on his jacket. "I told you before, this house won't stand much longer." Selena chuckled behind him. Something inside me snapped. My vision blurred, my chest burned, but my body wouldn't move. I wanted to hit him, to throw him out, to scream at her, but all I did was stand there, frozen, as if my own rage had chained me. Damian finally brushed past me, whispering as he left, "Enjoy it while you can." The door shut, and silence filled the room. Selena scrolled on her phone again as if nothing had happened. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely audible. She didn't even look up. "Why what?" "You let him in here. You humiliated me in my own home." At that, she set her phone down and finally met my eyes. Her smile was sharp, cruel. "Because you make it too easy." I staggered back, as if her words were fists. "You think you're some noble husband, holding everything together, but you're weak. You let me walk all over you. Damian, he's not afraid to push back. He makes me feel alive. You just stand there, silent, like a ghost." Her laughter cut through the air again, echoing off the walls. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't fight. I couldn't even leave. So I stood there, staring at the woman I once loved, realizing the truth I had refused to face. She didn't respect me anymore. She didn't love me. She only laughed at me. Later that night, she walked past me without a word, disappearing into the bedroom. I sat in the dark, alone, my hands gripping the armrest so hard the wood cracked. Her lover vowed to wreck my house. She mocked his jealousy, mocked me, mocked everything I thought we were. But as I sat there, trembling in the shadows, one truth seared itself into my chest. This was the breaking point. I couldn't go back to silence. Not anymore. Chapter 4. Silence turns to fire. I didn't speak for days. Not to Selena, not to anyone. The silence wasn't weakness anymore. It was a shield. It gave me time to think, to feel every wound she carved into me, to let the pain settle into something sharper. Selena didn't care. She laughed more, louder, as if my silence was a performance for her amusement. Every giggle, every careless smile when her phone buzzed, it all burned inside me like acid. One evening, Elias, my oldest friend, cornered me at the bar where we used to meet after work. "You look like hell," he said, sliding a drink toward me. I shook my head. "Don't need it?" "You do," he insisted. "Talk to me. What's going on?" I hesitated, staring at the condensation dripping down the glass. Finally, I said it. "Selena has someone else." His face darkened. "Damian." "You knew," I snapped. "I suspected," he admitted quietly. "The way she's been around him, it wasn't subtle, but I didn't want to tell you until I was sure." I leaned back, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. "He told me he'd tear down my house, right to my face." Elias slammed his fist against the table. "And she just lets him? What kind of—" He stopped himself, breathing hard. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," I said, but inside, I did know. I couldn't keep living like this. Later that week, my mother called. She'd always had a way of sensing when something was wrong. "Son," she said softly, "you sound tired, worn out. What's happening in that house of yours?" I wanted to lie, but the words spilled out like poison. "It's breaking, Mom. She's breaking it." There was a pause, then her steady voice. "A house divided cannot stand. Either rebuild it or let it fall." Her words echoed in me long after the call ended. That night, Selena strutted into the kitchen, her perfume thick, her dress too elegant for a girl's night. She looked at me, smirking. "Don't wait up." I didn't answer. She tilted her head. Still playing the silent husband. "You think it makes you look strong? It doesn't. It makes you look pathetic." She left, her heels clacking like hammers on my heart. I sat there in the quiet, staring at the dark window, and for the first time, my silence didn't feel heavy. It felt sharp, focused. Elias was right. My mother was right. I had to choose. Rebuild or let it fall. But rebuilding with Selena was impossible. She'd already laughed at the ruins. So I made a choice. Not out of hatred, not even out of love, out of necessity. I began to plan. Every message she sent, every late-night call, every receipt she left in her purse, I kept it. Proof. Evidence. Not because I wanted to show the world, but because I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to stop doubting myself. Each discovery was a blade in my chest, but I didn't cry anymore. I didn't scream. I only grew colder. The next time Elias saw me, he frowned. "You're different." "I have to be," I said simply. He studied me for a long moment. "Don't lose yourself in this." I met his gaze steady. I already lost myself the moment I let her laugh at me. That night, Selena came home late again, her lipstick smudged. She walked into the bedroom and found me sitting in the dark. "You're creeping me out," she said with a laugh, tossing her purse on the bed. I didn't move. "What's with you?" she asked, hands on her hips. "Still sulking?" Silence. "God, you're boring." She rolled her eyes and went to the bathroom. I sat there, listening to the water run, and whispered to myself, "This silence isn't weakness anymore. This silence is fire, and one day soon, it's going to burn." Chapter 5. The Game. Shifts. The silence turned into a weapon, but weapons are useless without aim. I needed direction, proof, a plan. So I started collecting. While Selena slept with her phone clutched in her hand, I waited. Eventually, she drifted into deep sleep, and I slid the device free. My heart pounded as I unlocked it. Her birthday code, easy. Message after message. Damian's name again and again, wrapped around laughter, hearts, promises. "You're mine." He's so blind. Soon, it'll just be us. My stomach twisted. Every word was a dagger, but I forced myself to keep scrolling, keep absorbing the pain until I was numb. The next day, I checked her purse while she showered. Receipts, hotel bars, jewelry I never bought, proof. I copied it all, stored it quietly, carefully, like a soldier stockpiling weapons for a war he didn't ask for. When Elias saw me again, he frowned. "You're pale. You're shaking." "I'm steady." I lied. He leaned closer. "What are you doing, man?" "Getting ready." "For what?" I met his eyes. "For the day she thinks I can't fight back." He cursed under his breath. "Don't do something you'll regret." I smiled bitterly. Regret is the only thing I already own. That night, Selena confronted me. She must have felt my shift, seen the way my silence had sharpened. "Why are you staring at me like that?" she demanded. I didn't answer. She threw her hands up. "You're pathetic. Always brooding. Always sulking. Damian was right. You're too scared to be a man." Her words should have cut me, but they didn't. Not anymore. I leaned forward, my voice low, steady. "Do you really think I'm scared?" She smirked. "Yes. You won't do anything. You never do." I stood up, towering over her, not with rage, but with calm. "Then laugh while you can." Her smirk faltered for the first time. Only for a second, but I saw it. She tried to cover it with a chuckle, but the sound wavered. "You're bluffing." I walked away without another word, my silence heavier than any shout. Inside, something shifted. For months, maybe years, she believed I was powerless. That belief was my cage. But now, I held the key. Every laugh she threw at me, every whisper she shared with Damian, every threat he muttered, they were bricks building toward something inevitable. The game wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. Chapter 6. When masks fall, I waited. Not for her love, not for her respect. Those were already gone. I waited for the moment the mask would slip, when all the lies she wore like jewelry would finally weigh her down. It came sooner than I thought. One evening, I laid out everything on the dining table. Her phone screenshots, the receipts, the late-night hotel charges. Neat, undeniable, a graveyard of our marriage spread across wood. Selena walked in, humming, her perfume thick in the air. When she saw the table, she froze. "What's this?" she asked, voice sharp. "Truth," I said quietly. She laughed too quickly. "You're insane. Snooping, spying. That's pathetic." I didn't flinch. "Read them. Out loud, if you dare." Her hand trembled as she reached for a paper, but she masked it with a smirk. "You think this proves anything? Damian and we were just joking." "Joking?" I asked, my voice calm but cutting. "Midnight hotel rooms? Jewelry you hide from me? That's your joke." Her smile wavered, then returned, brittle this time. "You're paranoid. Always have been. That's why I laugh, because you're ridiculous." I leaned forward, meeting her eyes. "No, you laugh. Because you think I'm powerless, because you think silence means weakness. But you forgot something." She blinked. "What?" I tapped the table. "I built this house. Every brick, every bill paid, every sacrifice. I did that. Not Damian, not you. Me." Her lips parted, but no words came out. That's when the door swung open. Damian strode in, bold as ever, without knocking. "Selena," he said, ignoring me. "You ready?" She looked caught, her mask cracking for the first time. "Damian." He spotted the table, the evidence. His smirk faltered. "What's all this?" I stood, facing him directly. "Proof." He chuckled, though his eyes darted nervously. "You think this scares me? You think you're in control." "I don't need to scare you," I said evenly. "You've already destroyed yourself." He stepped closer, puffing out his chest. "You're nothing. She doesn't love you. She laughs at you. She belongs to me." Selena flinched at his words, and for the first time I saw fear in her eyes, not of me, but of him. I turned to her. "That's who you chose, the man who barges into our home, who treats you like property." She tried to laugh again, but it came out shaky. "Don't twist this. Damian, he loves me." Damian snorted. "Love you? Please, you're a good time. That's all." The room went silent, her face drained of color. "What?" He shrugged. "Don't act surprised. You knew what this was." Her mask shattered. I saw it, the panic, the regret, the realization that the man she mocked me for wasn't even hers. I stepped closer, my voice steady. "You thought I was weak. You thought silence meant defeat. But look around, Selena. Who's laughing now? She stared at me, lips trembling, but no sound came out. Damian cursed under his breath and stormed toward the door. This is a waste of time. I didn't stop him. His footsteps faded, the door slammed, and suddenly it was just us, me and her, surrounded by the ruins of what once was a marriage. For the first time in months, she didn't laugh. She sat down, burying her face in her hands. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. I watched her, cold, detached. But it did. She looked up at me, eyes wet, searching for the man who once would have comforted her. That man was gone. The silence between us was heavier than any scream. You hate me, she said finally. I shook my head. No, hate would mean I still feel something. What I feel now is nothing. Her lips quivered, but she didn't laugh. Not this time. The masks had fallen, hers shattered by betrayal, Damian's exposed as selfishness, and mine, the mask of weakness, burned away by fire. For the first time, I stood in my own house and felt power in the silence. And for the first time, she looked at me and didn't dare smile. Chapter 7. The Price of Betrayal. After Damian stormed out, silence filled the house, not the heavy. Silence of my weakness, but a silence that belonged to me. Selena sat at the table, staring at the pile of evidence I'd laid bare. She didn't touch it. She didn't speak. She just sat there, trembling, her lips pressed tight. I poured myself a glass of water, sat across from her, and waited. Finally, she whispered, "You don't understand. Damian, he promised." "Promised what?" I asked, my voice calm. "That he'd take care of me. That he'd give me everything you couldn't." Her eyes darted toward me, searching for a reaction. I didn't give her one. Her hands shook as she tried to force a smile. "You've never been enough for me. You're too quiet, too predictable. Damian made me feel alive." "Alive?" I echoed. "He just told you that you're nothing but a good time. That's the man you gave yourself to." Her face twisted, as if my words cut deeper than any blade. I stood, gathering the papers from the table. "This isn't about him anymore. This is about you. And me." Her voice cracked. "You can't just leave me." I laughed bitterly. "You left me long before I ever thought of leaving you." The days that followed were strange. Damian still lingered around, calling, texting, demanding her attention. But the shine had worn off. She answered less, her smiles weaker, her eyes haunted. People started to notice. At work, Lena, a co-worker who loved gossip, whispered in the break room loud enough for me to hear. "Did you hear? Selena's been seen with Damian again. But it looks messy, ugly, like she's clinging and he's pushing away." The words spread like wildfire. Selena's perfect image began to crumble. Friends stopped visiting. Family avoided her. Even her own sister called me quietly one evening to apologize. "I don't know what she was thinking," she admitted. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. At home, Selena tried to pretend nothing had changed. She cooked once, something she hadn't done in months, setting the table like she used to. "I thought we could try again," she said softly. I stared at the food, then at her. "Try what? Pretending you didn't laugh in my face while another man threatened my home?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice," I corrected. "Mistakes are accidents. You chose this. Again and again." Her shoulders slumped, her facade slipping further each day. Damian, on the other hand, unraveled in public. Word spread that he'd gotten into fights at bars, shouting Selena's name, accusing her of betrayal even as he used her. His jealousy, once his weapon, turned against him. One night, he showed up at our house again, pounding on the door. "Selena, you can't hide from me." I opened the door, stepping outside, blocking him. He sneered. "Where is she?" "Not for you," I said coldly. "She's mine," he roared. "No," I said, voice steady. "She was never yours. She was. Never even mine. She only belonged to her own pride, and look where it got her." He stared at me, chest heaving, then spat at the ground before storming off. Inside, Selena sat on the couch, pale, shaking. "What did he say?" "Enough," I replied. She looked at me with wide, desperate eyes. "You're enjoying this, aren't you, watching me suffer?" I shook my head. "I don't enjoy it, but I won't lie. It feels like justice." Her lips quivered. "So this is revenge?" "No," I said. "This is the price of betrayal, and you're paying it." The days dragged on. Selena's laughter, once so cruel, disappeared completely. The house grew quiet, not with peace, but with the echo of what we had lost. Sometimes she tried to speak to me, but I gave her little more than silence, not out of spite, but because I had nothing left to say. And she knew it. Her lover had vowed to tear down my house. She had mocked me for fearing it. But in the end, neither of them needed to swing a hammer. They had wrecked themselves. All I had to do was stand and watch. Chapter 8. Erasing Her Smile. Selena tried one last time. It was late evening when she walked into the living room, her hair brushed neatly, her makeup carefully applied, as if she could cover the cracks with polish. She sat across from me, her legs crossed, her eyes cold, but desperate. "You think you've won, don't you?" she said. I raised an eyebrow. Won what? This little game, sitting there, silent, acting like you're above it all. She laughed bitterly, though it lacked its old sharpness. "You've changed. You think that makes you powerful?" "I don't think," I said softly. "I know," she scoffed. "Damian was right. You're pathetic. You'll never be more than this boring, lifeless man." Her laughter rose, brittle, hollow. She was reaching for the old weapon that had cut me so many times before, but this time I stood. "Not everything is a joke, Selena," I said, my voice low and steady. "Some things break and never return." Her laughter faltered, the sound dying in her throat. She blinked at me, confused, as if she didn't recognize the man in front of her. "Where's Damian now?" I asked. "Where's the man who promised to tear down my house? He's gone, isn't he? Left you with nothing but silence." Her lips trembled. I stepped closer. "You thought my silence was weakness, but it was patience, and patience is what erased your smile." For the first time, her lips, always curled in mocking amusement, flattened. Her eyes shimmered, but not with laughter, this time with fear. Damian never came back after that night. His obsession turned elsewhere, leaving Selena stranded, abandoned. And me. I didn't need revenge anymore. Her silence was the proof of my victory. When she looked at me, she no longer laughed. She no longer mocked. She knew I had erased the one thing she thought could never be taken from her. Her smile. Chapter 9. What remains of me? After everything, the house felt different. It was the same walls, the same furniture, the same bed. But the air had changed. It wasn't poisoned by laughter anymore. It wasn't heavy with threats. It was quiet, empty. I'd thought erasing her smile would bring peace. Instead, it brought silence. Not the silence of fire, not the silence of power, just silence. Selena moved like a ghost through the rooms now. She cooked sometimes, cleaned, tried to act like the wife she once pretended to be, but her eyes betrayed her. She knew it was over. One morning she finally asked, "Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "No. Hate would mean you still matter to me." Her shoulders sagged. She didn't argue. She didn't laugh. She just nodded, as if she finally understood. Elias met me at the bar again. "You look calmer," he said. "I'm free," I replied. He studied me. "And her?" "She's trapped in the ruins she built." He exhaled slowly, nodding. "So, what now?" I thought about it long and hard. For years, my life had been about Selena, her moods, her laughter, her betrayal. But now it was about me. "I rebuild," I said simply. Later, my mother visited. She sat with me on the porch, her hand warm over mine. "Son," she whispered, "sometimes erasing one smile means finding your own." Her words sank deep. That night, I walked through the house, past the memories, past the broken vows. Selena watched me from the couch, silent, her lips pressed together, her smile gone forever. I didn't feel anger anymore. I didn't feel love. I felt something stronger. Release. As I stepped outside into the night air, I whispered to myself. Her lover swore to tear down my home. She mocked me, laughed at me, broke me. But in the end, I erased her smile. And in doing so, I found my own freedom. The house may have fallen, but I was still standing. And that was enough.